Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
so,
I see you come sneak up behind me again, huh?
yeah, we want to see how your yard looks.
Well,
This is in the front of your house?
this is in the front. Just doing some modifying.
Hi YouTubers, I'm Gracian from Albopepper.com. Our parents can be some of the greatest influencers in our lives. They offer more than just genetic material. They teach us values, social skills, and often even practical life skills. As a designer, my mother was a big influence in my artistic side. And as a gardener, my father taught me to work hard and how to work around plants. My dad's been a landscaper for nearly his entire life. Today we'll look at some snapshots from his career, but we'll also have a nice tour of his yard, looking at how he's incorporated both ornamentals and edibles. So this is my dad, Gracian II.
Hello.
Dad, I want to ask a few questions that people may be wondering about in regards to what it's like being a landscaper, or maybe how someone might get their start as a landscaper.
Okay.
So first, people may want to know, how did you get your start as a landscaper?
Well, my first start, I remember working with my dad. He had his own landscaping business, and I was 5 years old, and he puts us on these big, giant mowing machines, and it literally knocked me on the ground and dragged me completely across the yard.
Wow.
And I could not stop, and they chased after me, and I'm dragging like this on this big giant machine that kind of they use on golf courses.
His father was a landscaper, and he taught that skill to us as well.
High school, I started my own business. I got off at 11:30 out of school, went to work, had my own truck, had my own equipment. And when I came back from the military, I started my own business again. So now here I am, just newly married in 1976, and running the business.
Did you take any classes when you were going through school that helped at all?
Well, what I did when I was in high school, because my afternoon break was landscaping, my major was horticulture.
Oh,
So-
well, that's cool.
so
So
I
you
t-
actually had a horticultural class in the high school curriculum.
And that's why they allowed me to be able to go on work, because my work had to do with landscaping, had to do with horticulture, so the combined work together. So,
So it was like a work release for high school.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And in California, it was very high demand. Back there, they weren't called landscapers, they were called gardeners. Landscapers in California and gardeners, two different fields completely. A couple of new features that I've added. And I added a water fountain, pots thrown away from jobs. So how can I use them to make them work well? This is what I do. I add some different things. I add some squash, I add elephant ears, and some dahlias and hostas and different things. And then one of my favorite cherry trees is covered with massive pink flowers this year. And what's nice about it, it had so many cherries on it this year that the birds were just gorging themselves. Red in between the green works well. Textured hostas, painted ferns. Knockout roses are going to start blooming pretty soon. So you'll find that I have a lot of leaping pines on my property, and I like them a lot. They just add a lot of character and personality to the job, to the properties itself. This is probably my favorite Japanese maple. It's just, the fall color is really nice, but and it was a throwaway from a job. I worked in Pittsburgh, and it was so scrawny, and it liked the spot and grew well. A Japanese red pine over my pond, frogs love it in there. Have a lot of different frogs.
So being that you got your start in California, what things did you have to adapt to when it comes to this temperate climate that we have in Western Pennsylvania compared to the way the climate is in LA, California?
I had to learn a whole new system of landscaping, because I went from tropical to now seasonal landscaping. There's a lot of things, people like color. So you start with your spring color. So, and some of those bulbs, they will bloom early spring, mid-spring, late spring. if you know some of your early perennials, there are some that will bloom earlier. So if you know your trees, your plant materials and that sort, you know what trees is to put in a special area to give you color at a certain time. And now then you get to trees that don't have no blooms, Japanese maples. Okay, they're gorgeous in the summertime because I have some that are bright red, they're yellows, they're orange color look, they're very lacy looking. So, but they have no blooms. But in the fall, when the fall colors come in, they're bright yellow, they're bright orange, they're bright red. They're really nice. So you have to be diversified to know how to use plants and then use certain kinds of trees in certain areas to highlight certain key points in a person's yard. You have to know how to add depth, dimension. So all these are factors that you add into a yard.
It's clear that landscaping is more than his vocation, it's his passion.
My spallier apple tree, and I think it has an apple on it. No, they're just leaves. And then my clematis up on top. I throw a wheel that was thrown away, so I used it to put clematis on it. And it works well. And then, oh, more flowers. I like picking flowers, giving them to my wife. She likes them too. But one of my weird Japanese maples, it's called a fairy hair. The leaves are so long and skinny. It's just a very unusual pine tree. And new neighbors, another nest of red robins in there. And as we come down, you can see a lot of varieties of Japanese maples. My different type of spallier apple pear tree. Baby pears on it already, which I'm glad. Last year we had quite a few. And then going to the backyard, going up to my deck. I actually have 3 trees going right through the middle of my deck. And most people say, oh, come down there. But I like my trees. I'm not gonna cut them down. And then when you come this way, weeping Norway. And in this particular yellowish hinoki, I had it down below over there. And last spring I dug it out from over there and I put it over here. It was fun moving it by myself, but it survived. And so I'm happy with that. And then over here we have the 9-bark. They call it a 9-bark. I don't know who named it that. But it's going to have a lot of flowers this year. Another weeping white pine. But it's weird because it put one shoot shooting straight up this year. Most people will probably call it a sucker, but we'll see what it's going to do. And then over here, this bed has a lot of different things in it. Solomon, Jack in the Pulpit, Blazing Stars, Echinacea, lilies, different types of other lilies. Ginger has the old peonies that are already bloomed now, tree peonies, and these are going to be all white pretty soon, the stilbees. The columbines are still blooming, some of them. And let's go this way. A Louisi flowering crab. If you see how many berries, if you can see them, but it had so many berries on it this year because it had that many flowers. It was just covered with pink flowers. And then another tree, weeping white pine, it's a pendulum. You can tell that I tried training them because I want to try to get this one to come straight out, straight over if I can. So I'm slowly working on it and just a little bit at a time, keep training them. My boulders where I sit down and rest after a hot day. And then this used to be a big hemlock tree here. Took it out because it was dying and I replaced it with a weeping beech. Now it's my favorite tree in the whole backyard. Just the color, the way it grows. perfect specimen for this particular spot. You put that red against the blue and everything else around it, makes a nice focal point.
So you've been in this industry for decades.
That's correct.
What types of jobs are you doing these days, like in the last few years? What types of things?
Well, if I work backwards, the last several years, I've done many hardscapes. I've done a lot of patios, and when I do patios, I try and incorporate perhaps a pond to it. I've done a lot of walls, and then I had to do walls that did benches in the wall so they could sit around them with fire pits, so they could roast their marshmallows. I've done patios. I've done a lot of ponds with waterfalls, multiple waterfalls. And I still do custom landscaping where some of my jobs, I did one for McDonald's. They said we've never seen a McDonald's landscape like this. And the owner actually got an award for the nicest landscape commercial building in the county of Indiana.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like doing interesting techniques with landscaping. And there could be a lot. I just don't do things on a flat or in a straight line. Then behind me is a Dawn redwood. It's a big tree. It was only 12 feet tall when I planted it. And that wasn't very long ago. And it grows really well. Then you come into this side, another cherry tree, but the serpentine. That's probably one of my favorite cherry trees because just the way it grows has that particular style, that look to it. The fall pictures are wonderful, and when it's covered with snow, really nice. Walk into my garden, nothing goes to waste here. This is hemlock mulch, and these are hemlock logs that the tree fell over my yard, and I saved the logs because they're all hollow, so I use it to plant my herbs in them. And it works quite well. And plant some squash and cucumbers in here. My peach tree, which has different varieties of peaches on it, looks like I'm gonna have quite a few peaches. Coming to my garden, we have quite a bit in the garden here this year. I had to change it because some things have deteriorated, so I had to replace some timber. And climbing cucumbers, peas, beans, carrots, peppers, chives, parsley, and I got tired of the chipmunks eating all my strawberries, so I put them in rain gutters. So in the rain gutters, now I can at least have strawberries without them being eaten off. My Digitalis foxglove, this year they did really well. They're a biennial, and this is the year that they did the best. And I have them all over the yard. My lilies are going to have big flowers this year. When you come this way, have my potatoes and lettuce going in the potatoes for now because they're going to grow and be harvested before the potatoes even get big enough. And then my garlic. Oh, this is the garlic that my son gave me from last year. He said, "Dad, get these planted," and I planted them. I added all this year. This is all new. I made raised beds the whole way through. I still had to put the wire up for my beans and my peas, and so different factors. Another espalier pear tree, another bird nest, which we have plenty around here. My currants, different type of a cherry tree. The red tree there, that's a ornamental peach tree. More foxglove digitalis, more columbines. A butterfly maple tree, Japanese maple.
So what are a few of your biggest challenges, though, that you face in this business?
I would say probably the worst is rain. Because sometimes people don't realize if it rains one day, you have to have another day to dry things up to do your job, if I'm doing a patio, for example.
So you don't just lose one day, you lose the day that it's raining and another day just waiting for the site to get back to where it's workable.
Many a time. So many a times last year, I had to put tents up to keep my site dry. I covered things up with tarps to keep things dry. That way I don't lose a day. And then when I find a sunny day, I work at 10, 12-hour days sometimes 6 days, 7 days a week, because I know the following week it's going to rain. Oh, my yard is flooded out. My whole backyard was completely underwater.
Welcome to my flooded backyard. Oh, they're all gone.
Stuff happens and you feel like throwing in the towel, but he's never quit, no matter what. Tenacity, something we all need as we face adversity.
So this year I had some products left over from jobs. I made my own culvert and it works well. We had a storm a week ago. All the water that's been right down the culvert, right into the creek basin where it needs to be. Last year, all of this was underwater. That flood took all my brand new plants I had for a job, just washed them all down, just washed everything away. And so, but we can't control what comes out of the sky. I could control it so much on the ground, but I'm in the bottom of the hollow. And the bridge dammed up. That's a bridge I use for my bobcat or just to walk across. And then I have my main bridge got washed out and it was destroyed. We had to actually replace that bridge. And this is where I keep nursery stock, and primarily just plants. An old linden plane sycamore tree from Pittsburgh, and it was an extra from a job that we did in Pittsburgh. And I just love these trees, because in California, when I lived in California, we used to climb them all the time, put ropes on them and swing in them. And it's just fast-growing tree, nice shade tree. I like them a lot. This all changed. I used to have a play set here. My old video, you would see it, but I took it out. All my kids are grown, don't need them anymore. Bongo weed, that's what that's called. That's called a bongo weed. And it's going to be covered with the pink flowers, a lot of butterflies. I'm going to have a lot of them this year. There's a lot. And on this side, I have a lot of different things too. A wore-out birdhouse. It kind of needs to be reclaimed, but we'll see what it will do. I'd love to be able to build some new birdhouses. I have a lot of birds here, a lot of different kinds, because it's a sanctuary that they like very much. When you walk this way, I have a big corkscrew willow underneath above my dinosaur plants. Leaves get very big. I think this is probably one of the biggest leaves right now. No, that one's a little bit bigger, but they get huge. This plant could be invasive, so you have to watch where you put it, but it loves water. And it only grows about 4 inches deep, if that. And I just put it here because if I be quiet for a second, you can hear the water in the background. I can hear it. I can hear the wind too. So that limb fell over on the willow, and I get all these shoots like that. That's pretty neat, so I just left it like that. And my wife's blueberry tree, hopefully we could have blueberries this year before the chipmunks eat them or the birds eat them. She just has to make her timing just right, otherwise they'll be gone. We come over here, The nice thing I like about all these trees and the rhododendrons, it creates a good sound barrier, breaks the noise from the farmers, and makes my property completely private. Nobody even knows this property is here. And the only way you can see it is if you got an airplane drive over or you sneak into my driveway somehow. My liquid sweet gum, liquid amber is what they call it. It was a job that was from a job that we took out. It just didn't work, so I kept it. Come over here. One of my favorite pine trees is this one because I just like the canopy underneath it with the different colors of the hostas. It works well. I mean, these trees, they were only 3 feet tall when I got them. And they're huge now. The size of these trunks, that's a big trunk. And I just like the way it just hangs all over.
What is it that you would say that you most enjoy about the landscaping that you do?
What satisfaction do I have with my work? If I put in a patio, if I put in a water feature, if I put in a landscaping, it's a fact that when you walk away from a job, the customer loves what they have. They're going to live it 24/7. If it's a water feature, they want to hear the water feature. They want to see the water running. If you do a patio, I get mad. I say to them, I said, I don't like doing patios. This is why? This is because somebody's going to walk all over my patio. And they laugh. They get my point, but they use it. They entertain. They live half their summer outside. So they want to be able to go outside and be refreshed. They want to be able to have something that it takes them back. They enjoy it, and you give a product to somebody that they really, truly enjoy. They want to live outside. And that's why I try to create a habitat that's outside, because we're not designed to live indoors permanently. I'm an outdoor person, and I love my outdoors, and so do other people.
There's an ancient proverb that says, there is nothing better than for a man to find enjoyment in his work, because that is his reward. In my dad's profession, he lives those words every day. Has your father, mother, or some other family member taught you a valuable life skill? Thank them for what they've done, not just one day a year, but all throughout the year. Share how they've influenced you in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video. I appreciate all of your support on my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, happy gardening.